Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today's video is a sewing vlog. I'm going to be sewing the Sew Over It Estelle sewing pattern, which is a stretch sewing pattern with a lovely drape detail. I am 6.5 months pregnant at the minute, so I'm going to be talking through how I made some adaptations for it to fit pregnant and non-pregnant. So it'll be good if you want maternity wear that will last you and if you're not pregnant. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Quickly though, if you like sewing content, make sure you like and subscribe. This video is a free way to support your favourite creators for free, and I also have Instagram and TikTok, so if you like all the sewing content, follow me there. I'll quickly share the fabric that I'm using for my Estelle dress. Lovely sage green marl viscose jersey fabric from Fabrics Galore. Fabrics Galore kindly gifted it to me for this make, and it is lovely and soft. It's quite thick, so that's why I want to get sewing so I can get some use out of the dress, but it's still cold. It's like 10 degrees, so this on its own is going to be perfect for going into spring. But it's just a really lovely green marl, and I wanted something just plain that I can wear, dress up, dress down, wear every day, and I think it'll be lovely. It's got some nice little stretch to go over the baby bump. We can't see, but I think that's going to work out really well, and I just love sage green at the minute. So I've got a good few meters. I think I need about 2 meters for this pattern, so I've got a lovely lot. It's a bit heavy, but it's going to be so warm and so soft, and then it'll also be great going into autumn next year. So, and also I live in England, so who knows what type of summer we have, so I'm wearing it a lot. So that's the fabric. This is the lay plan. I've got a really wide fabric, actually. It's just over, I think it's about 160 centimeters wide, so I'm going to cut it completely flat like this, one big length, and cut out a lot of, it's only those two that are cut on the fold, so that's easy as well because of the nature of it being a kind of wrap draped style, asymmetric. The more one pattern piece is not cut in a fold. And here, this is the long length. I think I'm going to make the midi the bit more shorter length, I think, but I'll see. And I don't know if I want a slit. This is no slits or 2 slits, but I might just do 1 slit. I don't know, I might have a look. I think we're going to have to cut it out and see what it looks like. So I've cut out the size 10 today. Normally in the past I'm always a size 8 in Sew Over It, but it fits me perfectly in a non-stretch fabric normally. But I've just measured myself again, and I'm still around a size 10. I am 6.5 months pregnant, so different parts of my body are slightly larger, which is fine. Now, it's got quite a big wrap detail, and on the images it looks like there's quite a lot of excess fabric, and if I'm making a size 10, I think it'll be enough to tie around my bump. Let's hope so. Because the nature of the dress is so drapey and you can tie and adjust it, I think it's going to work out. And also my fabric is really quite thick and stretchy, so let's hope it works out. But I've cut out a size 10 of the pattern, and now I'm going to go and cut it out from the fabric. So as you saw, the pattern pieces are all cut out, so I'll quickly just talk you through the pattern pieces. This is the front pattern piece. We've got the front bit, and then this is all the draping, and this is the bottom of the tie that ties up like that. I sometimes look at these pattern pieces and think, how is it going to go together? But it will, it does. So that's the front. Here is the back, at the bottom of the front. So it's got a similar tie detail that you'll recognise from the front. And I cut the long version, which I think is going to be too long for me. And it's looking a bit wide, but we will see. I think I can always cut it down once I've sewn all the top bit, and then I can decide how long I want it. So that's the front bottom skirt piece. And everything else just looks a bit more standard, like normal pattern pieces. So this is the back, a nice basic back piece. I also went for the wider skirt width. I don't know why I did that, because I definitely will want it thinner and I'm petite. But anyway, we can cut it off and shape it to how you want it. But that's the back. Another tie piece. Got another tie piece there. That is the back section, which looks like a normal bodice back. And then we've got two sleeves that look like normal sleeves. Again, I made them long. The pattern has long 3/4 and short sleeves. I don't think I want short sleeves in this fabric, but I'll see how it's fitting and decide if I want between. I've got very, very long arms randomly, so this probably will be more like a 3/4 on me, so that's why I went for the long. Then we just have a very small strip for the neck binding to go around the neck. So those are all our pattern pieces. Now let's get sewing. So the first steps we're going to be doing is sewing the ties together. This is sort of a simple bagging out. We fold it together and tie it over and stitch it to create the tie. And then we go on to attaching the front bodice to the bottom skirt, which looks pretty simple. We just run around that funny draping section, and then we work on the back. So I'm going to go and do that now. Sit down to sew, and I just quickly want to talk through the instructions. Now this pattern is for an advanced beginner, which is really good. It gives you some really lovely instructions, helpful hints, what to do, what does things mean. So I would definitely recommend the Sew Over It patterns if you are a beginner. Now I'm not a beginner, but I don't often make stretch clothes. I'm a woven girl. So stretch is I need a little bit of refreshing, shall we say, when it comes to stretch. And it's got a really lovely fact sheet on here about how to sew with knits and what stitch you need. So on the pattern, it says it's a 1.5 centimetre seam allowance, and we need a small zigzag stitch with the width 1.5 and the length 2. I'm only using my sewing machine. If you have an overlocker, then use that, great. Be really, really quick. I haven't got an overlocker, surprisingly, because I don't often sew stretch, and I just really love using my machine. And they're quite big to store, and I haven't got a lot of storage space. So I'm going to be using a zigzag stitch on my stretched fabric. Now I've got all these cut off bits that I'm able to do some really good testing. So I want to get my zigzag stitch perfect so it doesn't bunch, it's not too tight, and it's pushing through the machine well. So I'm going to spend some time just doing that, working out which stitch is the best, and it really, really does pay off doing this step. If you just start sewing and hope for the best, most of the time it is not right, and you can really see it on your fabric. So I'm going to use my scraps and get my zigzag stitch perfect. Pattern is for 1.5 centimetre seam allowance, but there's a seam that goes across here and around the hips. Now that's where obviously I have my baby bump, so I think I'm going to sew for 1 centimetre seam allowance there and give some more ease around this area, because even if it's a little bit too big now, I'm growing, so it'll be fitting. But I thought I was going to give as much width to here as possible. And like I said, I'm going to see what the shoulders are doing and see what they are like. First we stitch the ties together though, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to test my stitch out and then start the tie stitching. So on my machine I have the Singer Heavy Duty. I've gone for number 5, which is a zigzag stitch. So that's what I've gone for. I've changed I tried the 1.5 width with the 2 length, and I think it was a little bit too small for my fabric because it didn't give that much stretch to it. So I upped it to 2 and 2, and I think it's looking really good. It's got some good stretch to it. It can move. It's sewn it really well, and I think that looks really nice. So I think I'm going to sew with 2 and 2. Quickly show how we're looking. I've turned this round the right way, so that is the front. Stand up, shall we? That is the front. Oh, it's going to look lovely. That's the tie detail. Let's have a look. Oh, we're looking good around the bump. Oh yeah, that's going to work because I've got lots of layers on underneath, and that's going to tie up lovely. So then that's the front. Now onto the back, and the back's really easy. You literally right sides together, place the back top bodice with the skirt, and it's just stitched together like that. So that's pretty simple as well. So we're going to get going on that, and then that's the back constructed, the front constructed, and I think we'll obviously put them together and then put sleeves in. Stitched at the shoulders, so the front is now attached to the back, and now is onto the binding neckline. Now I haven't done any stretch binding, and it's like one of those things that can easily stretch, so I'm a little bit nervous. I've done lots of non-binding, but stretch is a whole nother game. So I've started this, but I'm worried that my fabric's too thick. I'm going to give it a go and see how it goes. I hope it's not going to be too bulky, but we first of all start pinning the binding right sides together like that, and then fold it inwards. So hopefully, I'm just praying I don't stretch it. I'm praying. But yeah, it's looking lovely, and I love the colour. I'm really happy how it's turning out. Just sewn my neckline. Now I had issues with this because my fabric is too thick, I think, but it's on and it's good. Is that the back? That's the back, that's the front. Had slight issues where here it was where the binding is made, and it's quite a thick thickness. That was my fault, but it'll be fine. You can't see it with my hair. So, but yeah, that's how we're looking. I was sort of like, you know, when you're sewing so slowly and you're just watching like this, going slowly, trying not to stretch it. But I think my binding, it was too thick. It would be a lot easier when you use like a normal jersey, not a thick double knit jersey. So that's what I would recommend, just using a bit more of a lightweight jersey. But still, yeah, I think it's going to look lovely. And my shoulders are sitting. It's got quite a wide neckline, actually, a lot wider than I thought it was going to be, but really nice. I haven't worn much like this neckline. So that's the neck done. It's attached together, and I think we now attach the neck strap to the front because we've only got one going on so far, and that's the strap that we did at the start. Yes. We're now on attaching the side seams. Now I've just pinned it, tried it on, and all the pins came off, which was really annoying, but this is what we're looking like. The seam allowance is 1.5, but to give me more growth room with bump, I'm gonna kind of taper it. I might start at 1 centimetre even, just for more bust room, and then go down to 1 centimetre seam allowance, and then when we get some more hips, legs, go to 1.5 because that's not where I need the extra fit, and I've got quite petite legs, so I'm gonna go at least a 1.5 centimetre seam allowance. And I think I'm gonna go down all to the end. I think I'm gonna do one slit. I need to try on for length. I think I'm gonna sew one side completely down, try it on, and then decide on the length a bit later on, because I still want my sleeves to put in as well. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to sew down the side seams now and go from there. But it's I really love it. I think it's looking really good. I need to press the neckline, definitely. I think that will improve it with a thickness, kind of like get some heat on it, but we'll see. I think I'll just have to be a bit of a thick neckline. But for next time, I will know. Really show what I'm wearing as well, actually. I'm wearing quick plug for one of my sewing patterns that are coming. It's a t-shirt style dress with a short sleeve and a ruffle, and I've made it out of a polka dot blue and white viscose fabric, which is so nice and light and comfortable. It's a t-shirt dress and it's quite a high, well, maybe normal waist point under the bust, and I got a gathered skirt that comes into a gathered ruffle at the bottom, and I've literally just put a long sleeve top underneath because it's still cold in England, but I wanted to be a bit comfortable around here, and it's really comfortable, and you can make it out of viscose, a cotton, a linen. I designed it for, and this is called the Rose dress, and hopefully she'll be coming in May, which is really exciting, as a PDF download, so you can make your own one day soon in spring and summer. And I just got some darts here and then a invisible zipper up the back, but it's really comfortable, really light and relaxed, just what I want for me and Pump. But great if you're also pregnant, but not necessarily, you don't have to be. So it works really well, really universal garment that you can make, and you're not just making stuff for maternity, you can wear it after or before or whenever. So a really nice universal garment, I think. So we're now onto the sleeve, and the sleeve looks pretty easy. I'm just gonna just half it like that and then stitch down and then hem it. And then once we do that, we then put the sleeve in. Now this has a 1.5 centimetre seam allowance. I've got very long, thin arms, so yeah, I might stitch with a 1.5 to 2 centimetre seam allowance, because maybe not up here, but we'll make it down to the bottom of the arm. I do like it a little bit tighter and fitted, so it's not too baggy. But yeah, I'm going to get on with that now. So we're going to do the sleeves, then attach the sleeves, and we're nearly there. This is a very, very quick make. Hello, so it's the next day, the dress is finished. I sewed it all yesterday. It was a really quick make. I think I sewed it in maybe 3 hours. Really, really quick, especially as I hadn't done the pattern before and I didn't know how to do binding on a stretch. So I thought that was really good value and good time. So that's one thing, it is a very quick make. So I'm going to put the dress on, give you the reveal and talk to you all through the fittings and what I did to adjust for maternity, and then you have an idea if you're not maternity. So here is the reveal. So there we go, there was the reveal. You saw the full lengths of the dress, so you can see a little bit more of the detail, and let's talk through the dress. So just to recap, this is the Estelle dress from Sew Over It, and it's made in a stretch fabric. Used a double knit jersey in a sage marl colour, which was gifted to me from Fabric.Holly for this make. For this make, as I knew it's going to be a maternity dress, I'm 6.5 months pregnant at the minute and I'm just going to get bigger, so I went for the size 10. However, on me, because my area of growth from being pregnant isn't here, the neckline's a little bit larger. I was debating on cutting in the 8 neckline and 8 shoulders and 8 arms, which I wish I did. So next time, if I make another one while pregnant, I'll be making a size 8 here and then grade it down to size 10 here and run the hips, because everything else is perfect, it's just here. But saying that, with the size 10 I have got room for growth on my bust as well, so that's okay. Also made the long sleeve version. Now the pattern comes in long, 3/4 or short, so we've got lots of options there on the arm length. I'm going to make long. It's still, I say spring, but it's cold in England, and I also have quite long arms, so I thought most things I realistically pull up a little bit, so I wanted that sort of option just to pull up to the length that I wanted, and that's how I tend to wear long sleeve items, because they're too long. If I really wanted a long sleeve top, I would have extended the arms. So next time, if I'm going to make one for winter, I'll extend the arms a little bit to suit my arm length. But I thought as we're going into spring, hopefully warm, I'll be pulling them up a little bit more, so I got that versatility. So when I sewed it together, I actually took in the arms here, because as I say, as a petite and I made a size 10, it was coming over a little bit on my shoulders, so I literally took in, I sewed with a 2 cm seam allowance around this part just to bring this in, otherwise I was looking a little bit more boxy. For the neckline, I've managed to press it down well, and it's pressed lovely into place, which is fabulous news. But because I use a double knit, it was very thick around the neckline, so I wouldn't recommend binding with a double knit. The rest of the dress is nice and warm and cozy with the double knit, but the neckline was a little bit of a struggle, so maybe I'll change my fabric for the neckline, because you can't see it, the binding is bound inside anyway, so you can't always see it unless it was a real dramatic different colour down. So let's get into how I changed the pattern for maternity. The pattern's great because we've got this tie here, which is a big stretchy tie. This tie piece sits into the side seam, so that doesn't need to be altered in any way, and that is nothing to do with the fit. You can, it's just great to be able to pull in a little bit tighter around your back. But here is where, let me stand back, all this extra fabric gives you lots of lovely draping around baby bump. Now I've seen, obviously it's not a maternity pattern, this is a regular pattern, so when you make it in a thinner jersey, it does less drape and cling more around here, like it's tighter, but it's completely adjustable, so that's also great. That's also why I wanted to make it, because I thought it's going to give me some adjustable bump room as well. Now how it's constructed, we have a seam that runs along here. Here's the seam, I don't know if you can just about see it through the fabric. This seam runs along here and along the tie. Now here was a 1.5 centimetre seam allowance, but I stitched with a 1 centimetre seam allowance, so I've got an extra centimetre along here. As I'm not huge yet, and I thought this probably would give me some growth room, I didn't want to add in any extra here just yet because it was too much for me. However, if you have a larger bump and you're making it for right at the end of pregnancy, I would recommend maybe putting in some extra fabric here or down here and just gathering it along here. Cutting it, slash it, open it up, and that might give you a little bit more room here, but for me, this will be adjustable, and then I've got some room here. I think it also depends where your bump is sitting, if you're a little bit more out or like that, or how big your hips are, is all those sort of things to think about. But pretty much you can adjust it with the tie detail, which is brilliant, which I think I'm going to be able to get away with it. Because I said I've got a double knit, it's quite a thick fabric, so it gives me extra coverage, and it's got a lovely lots of stretch in it, so it won't stretch thin. So that's something to think about. If you're making it as maternity dress and using a thinner jersey, make sure it's not going to go too see-through, because it's not a good look over the bump, is it, when it's completely see-through and all this bit fabric is intact. With stitching a 1 centimetre seam allowance, I've got a 1 centimetre extra fabric running along here, and that is where I personally need it, because then you can manoeuvre it around. The great thing about this as well, we can tie it slightly lower, slightly higher, and brings the drape around the bump. So it depends how you're showing, really. And then it's quite nice because this tie, you can tie this in super tight, and then it gives you some shape around the back as well, and you can show off a little bit more of your shape, which is really nice when you're pregnant. You're not just big. So that is that. Now the back section is made from 2 pieces, and it has a seam that runs along here, which again gives that shape, and it's just really, really lovely. Like I said, you can draw it in a little bit, but you can see the shape on this side is still being formed where there's no tie. I stitched here, I started up here because I knew this area of my body will probably be growing a little bit more over pregnancy and into the spring, summer, that I stitched under here, from here all the way down to about my hips here, with a 1 centimetre seam allowance. So again, it's given me that little bit more of a give along here. It would have been absolutely fine with a 1.5 centimetre seam allowance and would have fitted me better now perfectly. However, I know I'm probably going to be growing, and I don't want it super tight when we get to the end of spring into summer. So I thought, just give myself a little bit more give, a little bit more growing room. But then when I got to here, around my hips, I knew that my hips, my legs and into my legs are quite petite normally, so they're not going to be, I know my body, and it's not going to be growing a huge amount. So that's when I've gone down into the 1.5 centimetre seam allowance as well, and fitted the bottom of the skirt more to my body shape. Go for 1 slit one side and 1 fully sewn side to give me that movement, a little bit more comfy and some airflow when we're getting into late spring, early summer. I stitched the dress all the way down to the bottom of the hem. I made the long version as well. There's a long version and there's a shorter version as well that you can make on the pattern. It's a very versatile pattern, lots of options. But I did stitch down this side seam, probably down to a 2 centimetre seam allowance, just to taper it in a little bit to fit my body shape. And then this side, I've done the side slit, and then I run it all the way down here into a 1.5 centimetre seam allowance. So I was just fitting it to my shape and my body. That is making the Estelle dress 6.5 months pregnant. Again, it'd be such a good dress, and hopefully I can wear it after I've given birth into autumn. I think it'd be a really nice dress. Definitely great as a maternity pattern and a non-maternity pattern, definitely. It's really, really easy, and it's really, really lovely and really flattering on the body. Although I was talking about the neckline, and the more I'm looking at it, I do actually like this neckline a lot actually, so maybe it did work out fine having a size 10. It was super easy and super quick to put together. Like I said, I think it only took like 3 hours to put together, cutting and sewing. So it's a really good, quick make. As well, knit fabrics, they don't tend to fray like woven does. So finishing your edges a little bit quicker than if you were sewing a woven non-stretch fabric. So that makes it quick as well. But I would definitely recommend it. I really love it, and it's actually so flattering on the bump. I think we've got a lot of give here, so we've got a lot of growing room. But yeah, I'm really happy with this make. Thank you so much for watching today's video, sewing and my pattern review of the Estelle pattern while 6.5 months pregnant. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the videos, please like and subscribe and follow. It's a free way to enjoy my content, and I also make sewing content on TikTok and Instagram, so I'll leave my handles and links down below. So have a great day.